Marriage should be a bond of love, mutual respect, and unwavering loyalty. At least, that's what I believed when I stood at the altar, slipping a ring onto Olivia's delicate finger. Love blinded me then. I didn't see the warning signs, didn't recognize the cracks that would one day widen into an abyss. She had been my dream once, effortlessly beautiful, confident, with a laugh that turned heads. The kind of woman men chased, but somehow I had been the one she chose. Or so I thought. For the first few years, things were good, even perfect. We were a team. I worked tirelessly in the corporate world, ensuring she had everything: exotic vacations, designer clothes, fine dining. My efforts were rewarded with soft kisses, whispered promises, and nights filled with passion. But as time went on, something shifted. It wasn't abrupt, not at first. The distance between us grew subtly, like hairline fractures in glass. Then came her friends: Melissa, Jade, and Veronica. 3 women who looked like they had stepped out of a fashion magazine, flawless, entitled, dripping with privilege. They were the kind of women who could afford to sneer at loyalty and mock traditional relationships because they had never built anything of their own. Unlike Olivia, who once adored the life we had built together, they saw commitment as a joke. And soon, she started seeing things their way. The first time I noticed something was wrong was at a dinner party Olivia hosted. A gathering meant to be an enjoyable evening turned into a showcase of my humiliation. Melissa smirked as she sipped her wine. "So, Olivia, you seriously let him plan the vacation? That's adorable." "I could never." Jade chuckled. "Yeah, girl. You should be the one calling the shots. Why let a man decide?" Veronica leaned in, voice dripping with condescension. "Honestly, Liv, you've got to train him better." I expected Olivia to defend me, to shut them down. Instead, she laughed. She laughed like they had said something hilarious, as if their words didn't cut me like a blade. I clenched my jaw but said nothing. I refused to cause a scene, not in my own home. But something inside me twisted. The comments didn't stop there. At another gathering, we were discussing careers when Jade turned to Olivia and said, "Ugh, you're so lucky. I could never date a guy who works a boring job." My fists curled under the table, but before I could respond, Olivia giggled. "Yeah, I guess I just have patience." The room erupted in laughter. I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat. My job, my hard work, was what kept Olivia in luxury, yet she mocked it. Worse, she let them belittle me as if I were nothing. The next day, I confronted her. "Do you even hear yourself when you're around them?" I asked, keeping my voice controlled. She sighed dramatically, rolling her eyes. "Oh, don't be so sensitive, babe. It's just playful teasing." "Teasing?" I repeated, my voice laced with disbelief. "They treat me like I'm beneath you, and you sit there laughing. Do you even respect me?" Her brows furrowed, irritation flickering across her face. "Of course I do. But I don't have to defend you over stupid jokes." I stared at her, realization dawning. This wasn't just about her friends. She had changed. She no longer saw me as her partner but as someone who existed for her convenience. That night, as she lay beside me in bed, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. My mind replayed every instance of disrespect, every moment she had chosen them over me. My stomach twisted with anger and something else, resolve. If she wouldn't respect me, I would make sure she learned exactly what it felt like to lose me. The weight of Olivia's betrayal sat heavy on my chest for days. My love for her was still there, but it was bruised, bleeding beneath the surface. A marriage without respect was nothing but a slow death, and I refused to be the man who watched himself decay. Then, the night that sealed my decision arrived. Olivia had invited her friends over again, Melissa, Jade, and Veronica, 3 shadows that slithered through my home, sipping expensive wine I had paid for, lounging on furniture I had worked for, laughing as if I didn't exist. I stayed quiet, my jaw locked as I observed them. I had learned long ago that any protest would be dismissed, my words lost in the fog of their arrogance. Then, Melissa turned to Olivia and smirked. Liv, you're really still dealing with this? She gestured vaguely at me. You're too hot to be stuck in a marriage like this. Jade leaned in, eyes glinting with amusement. You know, if you ever want to have a little fun, you wouldn't be the first married woman to step out. Veronica laughed. God, yes. You deserve some excitement, babe. No offense to your husband, but you could do better. They weren't even subtle. They were testing the waters, seeing how far Olivia would let them push. And Olivia? She hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. That single heartbeat of silence told me everything. I wasn't her world anymore. I wasn't even her priority. The Olivia I married would have scoffed, shut them down immediately. The Olivia in front of me, this stranger wearing my wife's face, considered it. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. I think we're done here. All eyes turned to me. Olivia frowned. What the hell is your problem? My problem. My voice was dangerously calm. My problem is that my wife allows her friends to sit in my house and insult me. Melissa scoffed. Oh, please. Don't be dramatic. I ignored her, my gaze locked onto Olivia. And worse, my wife doesn't even respect me enough to tell them to stop. A thick silence hung between us. I took a deep breath, my decision solidifying. You know what? Stay here. Enjoy your night. I'm done with this. Olivia's face twisted in annoyance. Oh, stop. Where do you think you're going? I met her gaze with a finality that sent a shiver down even my spine. Away from this. Away from you. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door, leaving behind the woman who no longer valued me. As I drove through the city, my mind raced. I wasn't just walking away from the night, I was walking away from the version of myself that had tolerated this treatment. It was time to rebuild. Not just my pride. Not just my self-respect. But my entire life. You said. Walking away from Olivia wasn't just about leaving the house that night. It was about reclaiming myself. For years, I had poured everything into my marriage, into providing for a woman who no longer saw my worth. I had given her a dream life, yet she treated me like an inconvenience. That ended now. The first step? Building my own empire. I took a long, hard look at my life. My job had always been stable, but I had been playing it safe. Playing the role of the provider, the dependable husband, instead of chasing my real ambitions. I had dreams of my own, and I refused to let them wither under the weight of an ungrateful marriage. Within weeks, I resigned from my corporate job and launched my own consulting business. I poured every ounce of my energy into making something for myself, something no one could mock, something Olivia and her shallow friends could never belittle. And as I built, something incredible happened. I changed. I hit the gym harder than ever, sculpting my body into something stronger, more powerful. I refined my wardrobe, abandoned the dull, corporate look Olivia had once picked out for me. Every decision I made was for me, not for her. Then, Sienna entered my life. It started as business. She was a real estate investor, sharp, confident, gorgeous in a way that Olivia never was. Where Olivia was all about surface-level perfection, Sienna had depth, a mind that matched her beauty, ambition that mirrored my own. We met for a project over dinner, strictly professional, but the undeniable spark between us burned from the moment our eyes locked. So, she said, sipping her red wine, her gaze flickering over me with curiosity, you left a stable job to build something for yourself? That takes guts. I smirked. I got tired of being underestimated. Her lips curled into a knowing smile. I like that. The conversation flowed effortlessly, unlike the forced exchanges I had endured with Olivia's shallow social circle. Sienna challenged me, intrigued me, made me feel alive. And then she leaned in, her voice dropping to a sultry whisper. You know, I can tell when a man is finally learning his own worth. My pulse quickened. I wasn't naive. I knew the moment was dangerous. The way her eyes held mine, the way her fingers brushed lightly against my wrist, sending electric shocks through my skin. I was still technically married. The divorce process had started, but the papers weren't finalized. Yet, for the first time in years, I felt desired. Not tolerated. Not ridiculed. Wanted. Sienna leaned closer, her breath warm against my skin. Tell me, when's the last time a woman truly appreciated you? The truth burned in my throat. Olivia never had. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guilty for wanting more. That night with Sienna, I teetered on the edge of temptation. The fire in her gaze, the way her lips parted ever so slightly, daring me to close the distance. It would have been so easy to give in. But I didn't. Not because I didn't want to. Because I wanted to win. I wasn't about to let Olivia's betrayal turn me into a man who lost control. If I was going to move on, I was going to do it on my terms. Not as some wounded husband seeking comfort in another woman's arms, but as a man who had finally learned his worth. So, I pulled back, offering Sienna a slow, confident smirk. You have no idea how much I appreciate hearing that, I said, my voice steady. But when I finally take what I deserve, it won't be in the shadow of my past. Sienna's eyes flickered with something I hadn't seen in a long time, respect. You're different, she murmured, tilting her head. I simply nodded. That's the point. The next morning, I made it official. I filed for divorce, sending the paperwork straight to Olivia without a second thought. No long, drawn-out conversations. No fights. Just a clean break. When she finally called, her voice was laced with irritation. You're really doing this? I've already done it. She scoffed. And what, you think you'll just move on? Rebuild your life without me? I chuckled, the sound dark and satisfied. Olivia, I've already started. And you're the one left watching. And that was the final nail in the coffin. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to prove anything to her or her shallow friends. The best revenge wasn't destruction, it was elevation. I became the man she never thought I could be. My business thrived. My body transformed. My confidence became unshakable. And as for Sienna? She was still there. Still watching. Still waiting. But this time, when I claimed what I wanted, it wouldn't be out of anger or spite. It would be because I had finally built something worth sharing. And I would never let anyone disrespect me again.